Hey there, this is Niels Beardfoot, and today I want to show you how to make this Viking style leather chest plate. It's very comfortable, it's heavy but still flexible and nice to wear. As always, start with printing out the pattern in the size that is fitting to you. You can design your own version or take this from my Etsy shop. Cut away the border of the paper and tape it together and cut it out roughly first and then in detail. For the left side of the belly you got the option with Thor and without. Thor is planned to be in a synergy with a future project. For the leather I use 3.5mm thick wedge tanned leather. Put your pattern pieces on the leather, tape it on and cut it out roughly. Next, mark the cutting edges along the pattern and cut it out. For tooling the leather, I put it onto the tab and moisten it completely from both sides. While the leather is still drying, put the pattern on again and mark through the paper all the lines that you want to tool. For the parallel lines, use a wing divider or a groove cutter. When the leather got mostly its original color back but is still cool on the touch, we can start tooling. Here I'm using the swivel knife to cut in the lines. For stamps, here I use a backgrounder. Here I use a beveler tool to get in a 3D imprint into the leather along the lines of the swivel knife. Here I use a tool that is actually used mostly for seats but fits in here nicely. This is a border tool with some Viking Celtic knotwork in it. Obviously you can use any tool that you like. For some battle marks I use my swivel knife and a ruler to get in a cut, and then I open it with my thumbnail. And this is basically how the artwork of the whole project works. I'll bevel the edges, but on the flash side only if the edge will stand for itself alone and not be directly glued onto another one. Chest base piece should have more outwards bend like a muscle, and for this you use a bone footer to stretch out the leather from the inside. For cutting out Thor at the belly, I punched in some holes and then I used some small cutting knives to get in all the tight corners. Here I mark some guiding lines and also the stitching lines. For the runes I got some special rune stamps, but you also could simply use your swivel knife. Also here I use my Celtic borderline stamp. Thor is a little bit tricky, but with some practice in tooling you definitely can do that. And this is how you finish the top belly part. For a rougher surface on the belly base I use stone. Here I get in a more traditional leather tooling style the basket weave, and I use a camouflage tool and the basket weave stamp. This looks like a rough belly to me. For the back artwork it's almost the same, the only thing that I use here additionally is another backgrounder with some dots in it. It looks kind of like it got some warts in it, but is perfectly for the tree. The border is exactly like the chest piece, and on the back base it's the same as on the belly base. Now you should have all your pieces assembled together with all the tooling on it. I decided to give the edge some color but leave out all the artwork itself, so I get in with a paintbrush and paint it. All areas that are not close to the artwork I use a sponge on a stick. Next, put on a coat of resist to prepare the leather for the antique gel. Also moisten the edges so you can use the moisture to burnish them. For a special technique I want to put another coat of dye on the leather and then tap some of it away with a paper towel, which gives it some nice style. After the resist is really completely dry, put on the antique gel and spread it with a brush everywhere. Then wipe away the excess with a paper towel. Usually I like to go at least twice over the whole piece, and in areas that are still not dark enough for me I put on some acrylic paint. To secure the antique gel, since it is water dilutable, I put on another coat of resist as finish. Just make sure it is not pooling. With a piece of fabric you can polish it up and give it a nice shine. For the base pieces I go with a sponge and put the dye everywhere where it will be visible. You want to put on a lot of dye with the first stroke and be fast. For exact measuring of the edge weaving I use a wing divider and then put the pattern on again and trace all the holes. And then punch them. I use an ellipse-shaped hole punch, but you also can simply use a round hole punch. Do the very same thing for the back piece, but here you also have to punch some stitching holes. To prepare the area for gluing, I rough up the leather and then put on the contact cement on both pieces, let it set for a few minutes. You want to trace the rough area where to put the glue and rough up the leather in advance. Next, put the pieces together, make sure it is in the perfect position first and then press it together and hammer it down. Now you can punch the stitching holes here as well and then sew them. This will make the piece about almost indestructible. Cut away the excess leather, use sandpaper to smooth it out, bevel it, re-dye it and polish it. For the edge weaving, go through the first hole about almost all the way and then go through the second hole and create a loop. And then you want to go through this loop once again, in this case from right to left, and then tighten the first loop and tighten the second loop. Put a little bit to the left and to the right and then go for the next hole. So create a loop, go through the loop once again, tighten the first loop and then tighten the second loop. You should try out this technique first on another piece to get familiar with it if you're not used to it. When your lace is about to run out, you want to start early, weave in another piece of lace at the back side, and when the time comes that the first lace runs out, create with it the first loop once again, but then create the second loop with the new lace and weave in the end of the first lace into the second lace. To secure the end, weave it under the already weaved lace about 3 times and it will be secure. Bend the piece now to give it a fitting shape for your body. Also, you wanna prepare your buckle pieces and also your D-ring holders to attach like shown. On the chest piece now we can punch the remaining holes for holders and straps and get some glue and rivets and put them on. And this is for now your finished chest piece. You want to proceed now the same way with the back and the belly. Something that is different now at the belly is you want to sew the right arm area first. And then make sure that your top piece fits perfectly on the base piece. This is really something that you want to take your time with, else you might screw up your whole piece here and you don't want that. You should at least 90% sure that both pieces will later on fit nicely together. The bone folder here comes in very handy. So like the chest piece, rough up the leather, put on the contact cement on both pieces after a few minutes, put it together, make sure it fits and hammer it down. Punching sewing holes. I forgot to put in the buckle pieces, so I did it now. You may want to do this first before gluing the top on the base. A lot of sewing needs to be done, as well as edge weaving, and this finishes your back piece for now. Next up, the base piece. Main difference here is that you so far have not punched the edge weaving holes. This is now done after gluing it together. Before sewing, you want to put at the back some flexible straps where it will be attached to the chest. Apart from this, you want to handle it the very same way as the chest piece. And this is how yours might look like now. To assemble chest and belly, you want to place it about like this, that the upper rivets are partly covered, and hold these straps at the exact position for the holes, and mark these, punch these, and get some rivets in after cutting the straps. Now you wanna put on also the straps on the D-rings at the side and the top. And that's it. This armor is actually really thick and actually also very heavy, at least for leather, but is still very comfortable to wear and also flexible. I hope you like this. Leave a like and a comment. Check out my other videos, what patterns I got, and see you guys next time. Ciao!